to the Black Independent, where we speak truth to power, unapologetically.
For too long, the black vote has been treated like a given, but we're not property. We're not pawns. We are the descendants of those who built this nation. And now, we're demanding tangibles, not tokenism, because the era of blind loyalty is over. This is the Black Independent. Let's get to work.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Here we go.
You are Kunta Kinte, son of a moron Binta Kinte. You must always honor your ancestors, the ones who love you and watch over you.
It's time your family pay Kunta. Run! Whoa!
Jump! Jump!
I own this property, boy, and everything on it.
There is no South without slavery.
But God is my witness. I say you, even if he part you tomorrow, your love, it will never die.
A name is who you is. My daddy took whippings night and day to protect his name.
Speak to me, Lord! Speak to me, Lord!
Think I don't know him, my daddy?
If you ever touch just one, I'll kill you.
You brought this upon yourself and upon your poor family.
No, you brought it on my family. Don't say anything.
But there's a brand new show. Well, you were too wise today. So all the western eyes took the piece of the way where your careless mistake was spiritual ways. We are what we made.
We got the same blood, boy. He was a slave, too. You just never knew it.
Your name is your spirit. Your name is your shield.
I wanted to cry, you know?
Yeah.
When I watched it the other day, I found myself being extremely emotional, and I watched several different clips, and I found myself emotional because even as, given our subject today, even as we talk, I think about with each generation that I get to touch through the process of discovering where I'm from,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a depiction, that movie shows what my people went through. So, y'all, most of us grew up with roots.
But we have a whole new generational, and I think it's on us to make sure this new generation, and they're not like us. I mean, I remember I was in 9th grade when I saw Roots, right?
Yeah, I was a senior in high school.
And it was, like you said, it's very emotional. But we sat down, I think it was my mom. I know it was my mom, my brother, all of us. We watched it. But I showed it to my daughter. And she might have had to see it in increments.
Mm-hmm.
and
It was a big,
to really get her to understand the importance of how we got here.
yeah, I remember it being such a big event at the time. And again, I was a senior in high school, and it was a family event for us. So whether you watched it with your parents or your grandparents, or you discovered it by yourself, that story did something to us. And I would say that during that time, I remember the deep feelings that I had as just a child. It cracked, I think it sort of cracked something open. And I think the country really knew that. It was the first time a lot of Black Americans or African Americans really saw their history, not as a footnote, but as the whole story. I mean, that went on. I mean, it was scene after scene after scene. It was probably one of the most watched series, I understand, in American history. Over 130 million. You're talking about your family. I mean, my family as well. We're saying over 130 million people watched that series. It had that kind of an impact, I think, on America. But here's what I want everybody to hold on to. Alex Haley, the author, didn't just write a story. He went and he found proof. And I think that's the key. He found proof, and he dug through the archives, and he traveled to West Africa. He sat with the elders. He followed every thread until it led somewhere very real and very visceral. That's exactly what my cousin was doing, and I didn't even know it. See, I'm suddenly getting emotional again. But that's what my cousin was doing for just under 20 years. I had to ask her today, how long have you been doing this? And she was doing it, and I had no idea that she was doing it. And I want to tell you guys why it matters what folks like Alex Haley and my cousin who is with us today, why that matters right now, today, with what we're all experiencing, not just as a personal journey, but as something very urgent for you, but also for your families. Right now, the Supreme Court is deciding whether birthright citizenship, the constitutional guarantee that has existed since 1868, the same amendment that gave Black Americans, African Americans, citizenship after slavery, whether that still stands. They're trying to decide that now, and we're not going to really know their ruling until later this summer. And right now, the conversation about reparations is moving from should we do it or who qualifies? I mean, they want to know. That's one of the big questions that causes it to have some delay. It's who qualifies, and the answer to that question is going to require clear documentation, paper trails, proof, much the way Alex Haley did for that story, for the story of Roots. So right now, people are asking out loud in courtrooms and on social media, who's really Black? Who really belongs here? And who gets to decide, right? So those aren't really new questions. Roots was asking them in 1977. Our ancestors lived them long, way longer before that.
Yes.
But what is new? Let's talk about what is new and why this is so important. It's that we now have tools that Haley did not have. We have DNA testing, and I've done that. We have digitized records. We have AI that can read 200-year-old handwriting. We have billions of documents online that use to sit in boxes with which no one could access. So there has never been a better time or a more important time to find your answers. So today, Jennifer Wilson, my cousin, is going to walk us through what she found in our family and how she found it, and exactly how you can start doing the same thing. So, folks, this is episode 70. It's called Where You From? Because y'all know y'all have heard that story, heard that question, where you from? And by the end of this conversation, I hope you're going to want to find out exactly that. So welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, guys, for having me.
Jennifer, first of all, welcome. As like Jeanette said, we are so glad to have you here. We're going to jump right into it. Tell me and tell everybody listening, what got you started on this? Because 20 years is a commitment. Something had to light that fire. Tell us what that was.
It was my grandmother. It was our grandmother, our matriarch, one of them. She used to sit us down as kids. She, kept us when parents worked. And she used to always tell us, she said, you need to know where you come from. Because if you don't know where you've been, how you going to know where you're going? And so she would sit us down and she would tell us these stories that were told to her by her grandmother as she was coming up. And so, I asked a lot of questions, and she told a lot of stories, and a lot of it started. It was many years later when I started. She had passed on, but those stories and that she told me, they stuck in my head. And I worked with a lady. She was a very good, close friend to me. She started hers back in the 70s, and of course, she was white, and so she had no problems at all.
Okay.
And she would come and share to me what she got and where she started at the Mormon church. And so I just started when I, was getting ready to retire and I need something to do. I just started. My brother had a stroke and he messed around and he joined the Mormon church. And so they would come out to the house and they would tell us they provided all these services, and they invited me over. So I would go over. They told me when the classes were. And I started working with them. And I started telling the stories. It was
interesting. And I wasn't going to deviate from the script, but I didn't know it was Black Mormons.
Yes, there are.
Okay.
There's quite a few of them now, yes.
About the Mormons maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I was watching a trial, and they're an interesting group of people.
Yes.
Okay. So how did the Mormons get their hands on all of this data?
Well, Jenny, you want to tell her what you read about what their mission was? They decided this upon themselves. It was a mission of the church. They're the official record keepers. They were not delegated. They just decided based on the church's mission, this is something that they were going to do.
Okay. I'm sure it's in the
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. So I asked Claude, I said, why the Mormons? Why are they the keeper of the records? And it does have to do with a mission and a belief system that they have, that the people that are living can sort of, on behalf of those who went before them, stand in their place for, I don't know, I want to say baptism, but that's not the word. I don't have it in front of me, Jennifer, but it has to do with, in terms of repenting sins or whatever else. However, the Mormons practice that, they can, if they can trace their lineage back, they can stand in for those who may not have died in good standing, so to speak. And that's just my very weird way of saying it. But for the most part, it was a mission that they had. It's a part of their belief systems.
So do they have everyone's information?
Yes, they do. Okay. They have in Salt Lake City, down in a cave, they have been collecting this information for over a century. and they collect it all, and they've digitized it all now. There's millions and millions from all around the world. And that's where they house it. And through their website, which was Family Search, you could access everything they had. They just finished digitizing, 20 billion records. They did it in record time, by the way. And so, yeah, it's way down in the limestone caves where it's cool. And so the records will keep for ages.
So is it
And
in
their
Utah?
process is, yes, it is. It's in Utah.
That's their headquarters. Okay, but
Mhm.
listen, before we go any
Yeah.
further, I want to ask the audience, please like and share the video, because this is going to be a lot of great information. So please like and share, invite
Absolutely.
friends.
But I want to add something for the people listening. I want you to understand that this is doable. This is something that you can certainly do. I didn't even know Jennifer had started this. I did not know that she was doing it. But one day, for whatever reason, I decided to begin doing my own search. But I hit a wall. I hit a wall and I couldn't seem to get anywhere. And so my mother said, "Oh, your brother Randy, who's in California, he's doing the same thing. He has some information. You might want to check with him." So I called him up and spoke with him, and he said, "Well, I got a lot of what you have. Ask Jennifer." And I was like, "Jennifer? Jennifer is my first cousin, by the way, and that does make a difference." As Jennifer was telling me, she says, "Well, I'm not just any cousin, I'm your first cousin."
Yes.
And so she had so much information. I was floored. I could not believe it. She had the documents, she had the names, she had the dates, she had the access. And again, I want you to expand, Jennifer, on that Mormon church connection, because I learned so much from Jennifer and her contacts. And I was able to really uncover with Jennifer some of the things in our family that we just didn't know. So it's doable. Anyone can do it, but you do have to it is work. It is work.
And if you're retired, I mean, this really could be almost like a hobby. You're retired or semi-retired. But Jennifer, I want you to paint a picture for the folks who haven't done this. What did the first few years actually look like? And where did you even get started?
They were a little bit discouraging at first, because I knew the stories that I had been told that I was raised up with. And then when I first went and I met these really nice people at the Mormon church, they did a course. It was twice a week. It was on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings. And from the time they opened up the evening service until they closed, they had provided the computers. They provided the software. They provided everything. All you have to do is show up. It doesn't cost you anything. And so when we sat down and we started to look and search, he started asking me questions. Well, I knew who my family members were. And I told him, and we couldn't find them. For weeks we went, and I was like, well, why aren't they showing up? What's going on? And then we had found some records, and I said, no, that's not them. Keep going. It said mulatto. I said, mulatto. I said, I know what that means, but I'm looking around at my family members. I said, yeah, we come in all shades, but okay, now I don't know. And then he said, well, we're going to table this record right here. He said, because he was an expert at it. He said, we're going to put this aside. We put several things aside. One day, I think I said a prayer or something. I said, I got to do this. For some reason, it was in me. So we went back and we started looking. And I said, hold that record right here 1 minute. And it had Lou. It had my Aunt Luvinia. Her name was Luvinia. But they had Lou. Well, Lou's a man name. No. Then I look further and I say, Bunny. Well, Uncle Tag's name was Barney, but they had him listed as Bunny. And so the man explained, well, back then they had people doing the census and filling out the forms, and they wrote the names down the way they thought they wanted them to be instead of the way they were. And
Right.
because back during the time when they started this, you couldn't object.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I said, pull that record back up again. And I say, Lou, I said, that's got to be Aunt Louvenia. And sure enough, when we started really getting to the records, bam, there they were.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so from there, that was my starting point. And then from there, when I found my grandmother, that's our grandmother, by the way, we're the
Yeah.
product of two sisters' children.
Yeah.
I started taking things back. And
Mhm.
so we found the census records of 1900 and where they were at the time, they were in Leon County. And then from there, after we pulled up everybody and got the kids and everything, and I knew who my grandparents were, I knew the generation before, and I knew grandmother Cora. So the trick was, once you found one generation, then you have to go back. And you have to, once you find everybody there, then you have to go back again. And sometimes with Black folks, we can only go back a generation or two. But fortunately for us, that my grandmother told such good history and had all the names, I didn't have a problem. So I was able to go back, and I went all the way back to 1796 on my grandmother's side. And almost as far back on my grandfather's side as well.
Yeah. So you had a great relationship with grandma.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get to hear the stories that you got to hear. So my advantage was the fact that you heard the stories and applied it to your search. And so I could take advantage of that. But you're right, in terms of talking to your elders, that's a critical piece. Talk to the people who are here now so that you can get confirmation while you're doing that search based on the stories that were told. Interesting.
Yeah, two things I wrote down. Censors. Our community usually don't like to participate in the censors, right? And I can remember maybe almost 20 years ago when they were doing them in East Tampa, Representative Diane Hart. And I don't even know if she was a representative at the time, but saying how important her and the state representative Les Miller, that we fill these things out. But what I do know is I have my mom's mother Bible.
Yes.
And so
that's a good source.
A lot of
That
that, yes, data and names are in that Bible, and that's pretty much how we kept records. Correct, as Black people.
Yes.
Okay,
that is correct.
So, but all right. So here's the thing. I think the number one reason people don't start this journey is they heard there's a wall. And I could just imagine, and particularly if you're not tech savvy, especially for Black families, you get back to a certain point, like you said, and then there's nothing, right? Can you explain what that wall actually is and where it comes from?
Yeah, I think that's what happened to me, and then I got stuck. And Jennifer.
Well, the same thing with us. Even my grandmother. I don't know. Her mother died in childbirth, so she never got to meet her mother. It's just a name, but we could find no information on it.
The wall for me was learning the system. Once I had the names, I had the information, I didn't know where to apply it, where to put it at the time. And that help came from the nice people at the Mormon church. And so once they steered me in the right direction, I was good to go, because since the beginning of this country and they started keeping records, they've been required to do a census. So the census is very important. It's done, back then it was done for the United States every 5 years. And then for the states had to do it every other 5 years. So that was the 10-year period. The first 5 from the 1900s was when the United States did it, and then 1905 the states, the government did it, and then the states were required to do it. And so you have every 5 years a census, and then it all rolls up to 10 years. And so for 10 years, you can see, and it goes all the way back from the beginning until 1950. 1950 was when they stopped it, and then they put in the system that everybody's required to have birth certificates and all of this information and so forth and so forth. And that's what's continuing on today. And so because of that, that is the official government record. So if you didn't have the information, yeah, you could use the Bible to generate the information, but for the government, the information that they provide or you can pull up to see is the official government record. And that is what you have to have. And I remember grandmother showed me a paper when she applied for Social Security. They went back to the census and pulled up that information. And that's what they used to verify her age. And I went off.
No, you're still on.
We still see you. Yeah, we still see you.
And so that was that's how they did it, and that's how they did it up until in people that are still living today. If they don't have proof, they still go back to those census. See, my dad was born in 1930, and there's a lot of people still in their 90s and approaching 100. They still need that documentation.
Yes.
And that's the official record.
Right. Again, back to the relevance to today with the SAVE Act that Congress is trying to pass or not to pass, I don't know which, for our older citizens that may not have proper documentation, if you will. It's going to be extremely important that states, I think states can make exceptions, what have you, that states are looking at what the documentation is and allowing these people to not be disenfranchised.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's going to be really important as well.
Yeah.
So I guess I want to name this for what it is, because we shouldn't try to maybe soften it. That wall that we talk about isn't an accident of history. And when I talk about the wall, I'm talking about there's a point that I get to that makes it difficult for me to find my people. And I think that is what Black people are finding sometimes, that they just can't seem to find once they get to a certain point. Because for me, at one point, it was 1838 with Ben Jones. I couldn't get beyond him. I have been able to do it of late, but it was very difficult for me to get beyond 1838. So the same way citizenship is being debated right now, as I mentioned, who counts, who belongs, that erasure was about the same thing. Who counts, who belongs. And it's always been about that, especially since we've been able to vote. Who counts, who belongs, and the need for us in particular, Black people, to have to prove ourselves over and over again. So making sure certain people couldn't point to themselves and say, I was here, I built this, this is mine. They're still making it as hard as they did years ago, and we need to pay attention to that. And I think, again, this is why this is important.
Yes, it's very important, because as far as our family goes, that wall that I hit, and you have to remember that their names are not going to be as you anticipate them to be, because you had somebody else writing these names, writing this information down. They didn't always get the spelling right. They misspelled a lot of things. So you have to just do your due diligence. And I ran into that wall, and I kept saying, but I got to do it. I'm going to just hang in here. I kept hanging in here. Every time I go, I can't find nothing. Why am I coming here? But then I said, no, something in me kept saying, no, you sit your butt right there. It's going to come. And sure enough, when it came, it was like a fountain. Boy, did it flow. And it was just so easy after that. And now, I mean, I have the Mormon Church provides you with what's called a book of remembrance. So my whole family on my mom's side, my dad's side, and everybody that I can find is in here. And yes, there's still a lot of family members that are missing. And because a lot of them, due to things that happen like lynchings and stuff like that, they moved away, they changed their names. And so we still have a lot of men in our family that are missing. And so that's what I'm working on. I'm trying to locate them like our grandfather, Thomas Law. Something happened to him between 1905 and 1910. And grandmother said he was lynched. But I can't find a death record. I mean, I'm kind of at a standstill. So that's one of the reasons I've been waiting on the Mormon Church to facilitate all the records so that I can go back and hopefully something will show up. There's a newspaper. There's a website for old newspapers. You can go in and check areas. There's a lot of information out there. A lot of it, some of it you have to pay for, but the majority of everything I do is free.
Yeah.
It just takes time and effort.
Yeah,
Wow,
it does. Well, I'm looking at the same. Just a minute, Mona. I'm looking at when you said Thomas Law, because I realized I don't have Thomas Law here on this particular paper that I'm looking at. These are my notes. And I see Lizzie Law. I'm imagining Thomas Law is
her husband. Well, Thomas Law was her father.
Was her father, because her husband was Nelson Johnson.
Nelson Johnson, yes.
That was back in 1883.
Yes.
So this is one area that I've hit a wall on. Well,
Thomas, yeah.
Yeah.
He is on the 1900 census, so you should have that record. I have copies, because when I find the record, the system allows you to attach that document to the individual. So if you go in there and you look, you'll see it might be 11, 12, 14 pages. I have death certificates, I have birth certificates, I have marriage license. Everything that I can find that pertains to that individual, I have attached it to that name in that file. He showed up in the 1900 census, but between 1905 and 1910, he disappeared.
Yeah.
So that was my next question.
Go ahead.
That was going to be my next question. So they do have death certificates, and those death certificates. So when someone, if they was lynched, how do they dispose of the body?
I don't know. He's my mystery person right now. He's there in 1900, the 1900 census, he was in the family.
Right.
By the time the 1910 census came around, he had disappeared. My grandmother told me that he was lynched. They was living in Leon County. She told me the story. And then they moved from Leon County. That's how they ended up in Polk County. Because they fled.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. It's a lot. I mean, I can imagine doing this, the emotions you might feel.
Yeah. But it was joy. To believe it or not, I feel joy because I can imagine what they went through, yes. But the joy of me knowing that I'm finding my family members, and I just can't explain how it feels in the inside, and knowing, that even the children that were lost, the children that passed during this time, I wish I could ask somebody back then, once they died, it's like they never existed. My grandmother would talk about her brothers and sisters, but they never discussed the one that died in infancy or maybe, in their early teens. It's just like they never existed, but I can see them in the record.
And that's really true. Jeanette Marie, when the record pretty much says 1938, and 1938 or something, or 1838. I'm not sure.
1939. Yes, 19. That's your mom's middle sister. Yeah.
Right. So you're looking at the same year. So what you say is, oh, she died. But I do know as I was growing up that I was named after one of my mother's sisters who passed. And when you see it in the records, to the point that you were making, Mona, you feel this sense of satisfaction, this sense of knowing and connecting, because I'm watching a generation above my name right there, and knowing that I was named after one of my mother's sisters that did not make it. And so there's that sense of joy that, Jennifer, you talk about when you are able to find one, anybody, because there was one that Yarrow Bell on my dad's side, and that was in like the 1700s. And I could not figure him out, but his parents were Africans. So I know I'm going to have trouble finding them, but his parents were Africans. And this is where I saw the Wheelers' name. The Wheelers are the nice Mormons that you say that has helped you develop our story, if you will. And I was like, when I clicked on it in Family Search, I was like, well, dang, who are these people that are all in records that I'm also interested in? I need to find their tree so that I can. And then they were white people. And I was like, well, dang, I must be in the wrong file. This can't be my person. And then it dawned on me that those were the Wheelers, the very nice Wheelers, who I also learned from a while ago. And so they found it before I found it.
Yes.
And that was very satisfying too, because here we are. I'm finding somebody who is 1850, was born 1815, and the Wheelers had already found him. So I already know you have him in the record somewhere, and I could put him in my record, but I could feel like, wow, his name was Yarrow Bell, right? And his parents, he was born in, I think, South Carolina, and his parents were Africans. So they had to have come to the shore, and that's when he's born. And one of the things that I'm finding is AI now helps you build the story, which means the data you put in has to be pretty accurate. But I'm finding that AI in Ancestry will help you build a story around whatever it is that you're building. Now, I paid for AI, and I paid for it for 1 month so I can catch up. But for the most part, Family Search, just a plug, is free. And it is where I found Yarrow Bell. That is where I found him, not in Ancestry.
Okay, and
Jennifer,
I'm gonna
let me ask you this. Do they have any pictures of these individuals?
Yes, they do. I have lots of pictures. I have pictures of my grandmother that came out of newspaper sources. And let me pause that a minute. And one of the reasons that I have a lot of this stuff, Jenny, is because the Wheelers and Dale, when he sat down with me, he was honest enough to tell me, he says, we don't get many Black people that come in here that want to research their ancestry. And he wouldn't let me quit because I was his test, as you want to say, I want to say dummy, but I was his test subject. And that's why he's still working on our family tree, because he gets true pleasure and meaning and purpose from assisting us. And he wishes more Black, people will come in, because they are there to help. And I must say, they are just superb. I can't say anything better about them.
Where's the location at?
They're at the Mormon churches. Mormon churches around Tampa have the files. Not all of the Mormon churches provide the class, but in areas around town, like the one on Fletcher, we went to the one out in Bloomingdale. It used to be on John Moore Road when I started, but they moved it because they're making some changes within the church as well. And they have a room, they have computers set up, they have the tech. If you don't have the right equipment, they provide everything.
Yeah, they do.
All they need is your knowledge.
We'll get that information, Jeanette, and post it on our Facebook page.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And I guess what we're doing, just to the audience, we're encouraging you to do the same. It's amazing when you have documents in your hand and you are looking at your lineage dating all the way back to the shores of Africa. I don't know many Black people who have done that. But you don't have to wait for, what is it, Gates?
Oh, right.
Gates to come and knock on your door to say, let me help you find your ancestry. You can actually do it yourself. But I want to bring us back to roots, because that's part of our cultural memory around this. Roots, Alex Haley's book and his mini series was this enormous moment for Black America. And I'm surprised now that you say that, Jennifer, that more of us have not decided that we wanted to trace our own roots. But the idea that you could trace your lineage all the way back to Africa, that was revolutionary. And Jennifer, how does that reality of doing research compare to what Roots put in our head? And I think you've been sharing that really in terms of it's a very satisfying process.
Oh, yes, it is.
You just have to get started.
Because I know our family, we know where we come from. We know how long our generations have been here. We know that our relatives were slaves. We belong here. They toiled, they built this country.
Right.
You know, they were here. We were here. We're their lineage. We're their future.
Yeah.
And nobody can take that away from us. And we have the proof documented through the government records. So they can't come to us and say, you don't belong.
Right. And it's that, the way you from? Well, as a matter of fact, we know where we're from. We know how we got here. We know when we got here, and we know from one generation. So we actually have traced back 7 generations. And that is not, I mean, at least with my father, the slave that came from West Africa, her name was Dolly, and no last name, just Dolly. And she was in the Bahamas. She arrived on the shores in the Bahamas. Her slave master's name was Thomas Sweeting. So there is a line in my ancestry of the Sweetings. In fact, Ellis Sweeting called me about 3 or 4 years ago after I did the DNA test and said, we're first cousins. And I was like, really? Prove it, kind of thing. And he came to, when I do Seed for Kids at the market. We sell honey at the market for our nonprofit.
Is that the guy we met at the thing?
Yeah,
I remember him.
Yeah, he brought his kids and his wife to meet me, and he helped me crack that nut all the way to African shores. And here's what's the key, and the documentation is key. You must, when you decide that you're going to add somebody to your tree, the documents must support it. And one of the best things I would say is the census. Once you get a census, you are really on a roll. Marriage licenses, death certificates, all of these things are critical. And if you can get as much documentation as you can on one individual, it makes it more solid. It makes it more real.
So Mona, what I would say to you, that once you find, all you have to do is find one person.
Okay.
Yes.
One person. And then once you find that one person and you go in and you will see the death certificates, if they're passed on, the marriage license, how many times they've been married, doesn't matter. All the information is there. It's easy to find that document. You click it, you add it to that person's file, and then you built one file right there. And then from there, it is going to tell you who their mother, more than likely, the death certificate is going to tell you who the next of kin was. The marriage license usually has some relative, mother, father, depending on when they got married. So they had to sign for you. So you find their information there. And another thing is when people pass on, obituaries. That is the key, man. That's gold right there.
It is.
That's the $1 million baby, because when you go in there, it tells you who their father was, who the mother. So you got information to start from right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, just go on with it.
Yeah. So we're not going to just leave that wall without coming through the other side. So tell us something interesting. You are the best thing that you ever found.
The best thing that I ever found? Well, I don't know if it's the best thing I ever find, but I haven't. Okay, my dad's name was Wilson. My daddy's name, I found his family. They were from Franklin County, North Carolina. My grandmother's family was from Georgia during the time before the states were defined. To make a long story short, my father's maiden name was Wilson, and grandmother Cora's maiden name was Wilson. And I believe that the two slave owners, because they both have slave owners, and from that point on, there's a lot of white back in the family, and I can take my daddy's side back to England. But I believe they were related, because remember back then they were family members that owned over here. I haven't been able to prove it yet, but there's something in me telling me that they were either cousins or brothers. But to both sides of my family to have the same last surname, hey, that's just, that's, I'm still digging into it. But that right there, besides all the other stuff that happened, if I can just connect those two.
Yeah.
And so that's history in itself, because one had a plantation in Georgia and the other had a plantation in North Carolina. And what are the odds of that?
Yeah, you could see that makes sense, because we know that in these families, it could be brothers, sisters, both have plantations with the same last name. Absolutely. Wow. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I think I'm gonna so Jennifer, would you be interested in getting the community, a group of us started? Like a workshop. Like a workshop.
Yeah, we talked about it, and yes, I would, because I love it. I mean, I love it. I mean, it's history. I'm a history person. I love it, and the more that I can find, and it just, I'm so proud to be Black.
Yes. Oh yes. Yes.
In spite of everything that our people went through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, we still trucking. We still doing it, man. They can't stop us now.
Yes, we're still here and going strong and going stronger. I love that. I say it all the time. All right, so Jeanette, we need to put something together, because I think this would be something, if someone gave us a head start, just a head start. And then if we hit the wall, we can always reach out to the Mormons, or come to some of the classes. Yeah.
Well, I think, again, Jennifer has been doing this for just over 16, somewhere between 16 and 20 years. So she really does have the knowledge. She knows where the bodies are buried, so to speak. She knows how technology has improved in such a way that makes it much easier. So she's done it the hard way and now the much easier way. But either way, it requires work. I got back on it a couple of days ago, and yes, it still requires work.
Sure.
I think that this is a great idea. Jennifer and I talked about it, as she mentioned a little bit earlier, that we could probably connect with the library system, C. Blythe or Robert Sanders, and figure out how we could start classes of some sort.
Oh, that'd be good.
Exactly.
So Jennifer, let me ask you this, because it just came to my mind, and I think it was not my grandmother's brother, but my grandmother's father. Any living relatives you have found people through this that the family didn't know exists, or back then when people was trying to pass for white, but they were born into this family, but once they came, 16, 18, whatever, they moved away, never to be heard from. Have you found those people anything like that?
Not in my family. The ones that we do have, which grandmother Cora was, she remained black, but that was farther back. During modern times, it's hard to say because people leave, they change their names without knowing who they become, because they shared that old life. And then back then it was easy for, oh, I was Brenda Sue back then, but now I'm going to be Mary Jane. So unless you just stumble upon it or you have something else to go on, it's kind of hard. But then again, it depends on what they have in their official record as well. When they got married, what was the married name, who signed the documentation. So it's not impossible. You just have to hopefully get lucky.
I would say if they're trying to, like you said, share that life, they would probably change that name and would not want to have any connection with that side.
What's really interesting, though, to your point, I did take through Ancestry.com, I did do the DNA test maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. And that's one of the ways that I found Ellis Sweeting, or he found me. And I get a lot of hits based on my my test results. Well, people will say, I'm your second cousin, I'm your third cousin, I'm your fourth cousin, or whatever else. For whatever reason, Ellis and I, because he said first cousin. And so that was kind of like, that's really interesting. And then when I looked at the data, his person that he was talking about lived maybe 2 or 3 streets away from my dad's house. And it was like, what's the story here? There is a story here. And once we really got the story, our parents were like tipping out, for the most part. And as a result, the Penders, my name probably should be Pender and not Bradley, because Bradley comes through my mother's mother, not my father's father. So it's like, okay, well, something was going on there that we couldn't be Pender. Well, he had his own family somewhere else. And now I have 3, my dad and his 2 brothers that come through the Pender line. And you learn these things as you start discovering and as you start uncovering exactly what the story is. But I learned that through the DNA. So to the point of, there will be some people that I add to once I do the research. My tip comes from the DNA, which connects me to a whole lot of different people.
So
just based
I
on
wasn't
that.
aware when you do a DNA like that. What you doing a DNA through what? Like Ancestors? Is it a database?
Yeah, this is Ancestry.com. They send you say, hey, I want to do it. You pay for it. They send you the kit. You do what the kit tells you to do. You you put it in the mail, and then you just wait a few weeks, and then it comes back. And in fact, I pulled it up, and it was updated recently because AI now is engaged, and it takes you all the way back to Africa. So I know that I come from West Africa, and of course there were no countries at the time. So it's just telling me Nigeria, and then Mali, and then a certain percentage from Senegal, and that type thing. So I look at that as the United States was a mess. And if they created breeding farms, right, it makes it much more difficult for us to have a straight shot to say, I'm Nigerian. Well, I'm Nigerian and a whole lot of other different things, right?
Right.
So there is that. But you've got a lot of people now hitting and saying, let's meet or let's talk. I think I'm your whatever. I think I'm your whatever. So I get a lot of those type of hits through Ancestry.com because of the DNA. And I only research those that seem credible to me. And they're probably credible because of that mess of us just being used as breeders.
I say that we're gonna all be connected one way or another in the end. It's one big family.
Well, in the beginning, we were with mitochondria Eve. In the beginning, we are all connected there. I'm not sure where we end up, but definitely that's how we started. And so this is kind of to me, it's exciting. So I know Jennifer and I talked about this a while ago, and I'm just glad that we have a chance to talk about it today, because again, I think it is extremely relevant. And I really want people to hear this, because this is why the work is done. This is why you have to do the work. It's not just names and dates. This changes really how you see yourself and how you walk. And it changes what you say to your family members, and how they also now know who they are. It's kind of where you from. That line has never been more important to me than it is today. So when you know who you came from, it changes your posture. Jennifer, hasn't it changed how you see yourself?
Yes, and with most of the men, like in World War One, most of our ancestors served in World War One. During the Civil War. We had some relatives that actually served in the Civil War. They fought for our freedom. Against all odds, treated badly, poorly, all the things, but yet they hung in there and they fight. We're fighters. We don't lay down. I mean, my family, our race of people. I mean, we've been through hell and back, and yet we're still here.
Right. And you can find those stories in the documents. There's documents out there, and also the Freedmen's Bureau, you guys, that's another great source. But the documents are out there, and it tells you whether they served or not. Right.
Yeah, you have a copy. They show a copy of their admissions paper where they trained at the base in Florida, where they went to for their post training before they were shipped off. All of that is there. Even some of the civil rights were during the Civil War. They'll have a little form that says who they were, what platoon they fought in, what regiment, what state. All of that information is there.
That's really true. So folks, for anybody that's listening and you might be like, you know what, I'm not sure it's worth the effort. Well, you didn't come from nowhere. And that's what this country tries to make us feel. But we didn't come from nowhere. And what our ancestors did for this country is relevant and it's important. You came from a people who survived things that would break most of us. And their story is your story. Knowing it isn't just emotional, it's armor. It's armor. Like we walk a little straighter. We talk with a little bit more confidence because we know what our ancestors did to contribute to this country. In the world we're living in right now, knowing your history is definitely your armor. And I think we're going to need that.
And, I was just thinking, when we was in school, and some of the kids in the history class, they could talk about their ancestors and where they came from. And now, we all assume we came, not assume, we knew we came from Africa, but not where at, right? So now we can tell that story. And it'll be something interesting. I think we need to do it, and we need to tell that story to our children and their children. Yeah,
you are absolutely right. We used to be, this was me. I don't know about y'all, but when we in American history got to the part of slavery, that little piece where all of a sudden we're going to talk about slavery, it was like miserable. I hated it. I hated that part of American history. And it was only a small little segment because they didn't spend too much time on it, but it made us feel less than rather than right. And that's how we felt as we were growing up. But our stories are so rich.
And we have to change.
And
Yes.
I could tell you that, but you can go and do the research and find out for yourself that you'll find that all your people are not perfect, right, Jennifer? All your people are not perfect.
Sure.
Like my grandmother had what, 4 husbands?
Yeah.
And one we didn't even know about.
Yeah.
Mama didn't even know about. So you'll find that everybody's not perfect, but it's your story. And I think that's significant. That's great.
But listen, I'm just going to connect that to when we learn about the Jews, the Holocaust, they tell that story. It is neither, I don't want to say good or bad. It is what happened. It is a part of you. Same thing with slavery.
Yep.
And when the Europeans could understand that, I think we could move forward.
Yeah.
But we have to be able to tell that story, understand that story, and accept that story. And our children got to be proud where they came from.
Absolutely.
Because when you said you was uncomfortable, you was embarrassed. I don't want another Black kid to feel that way in school. It is our history. It is our history.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it is nothing to be ashamed of.
It's nothing. To be ashamed of. Yes. I don't know too many nationalities that could have gone through what we have came through and come on the other side as strong as we have.
Yeah. And it's information that we need. Yeah, it's information that we need today, because when we have these politicians and these judges making decisions about who gets to be an American and who doesn't, it's something that you need to know, your family members need to know exactly where you stand. So we talked about it, we touched on it earlier, that the Supreme Court just heard arguments about birthright citizenship. And so the 14th Amendment, y'all, the 14th Amendment is being debated. And it says what it says right after the Civil War, which says anyone born on U.S. soil is a citizen. That's what it says. That's what it says. That's what we've been practicing ever since. That's literally being challenged right now. Who gets to be a citizen, right? And the reason the 14th Amendment even exists in the first place is because of our ancestors, the enslaved people. It was ratified in 1868 specifically to give Black American citizens citizenship after Dred Scott said they had none. And now in 2026, that same amendment is up for question, right?
Right.
I think we have to, not just for our selves, where we walk a little taller, we speak a little bit with a bit more confidence. We need to do it for our families.
Sure.
We need to do it for our families, because all of that connects with genealogy. If citizenship can depend on documentation of who your parents were and what their status was, then documentation becomes survival. Your paper trail becomes your rights.
Right.
Absolutely.
And you know, and then there's the reparation conversation, right?
Yes.
Yeah, more cities and states are exploring what reparation would look like. And the question of who qualifies always come back to what? Can you prove it?
Prove it. Yeah.
Can you prove it? So can you document your ancestors who are enslaved in this country? And that's not just a historical question anymore. They're making it a policy question. So it would be, I did something else this morning too when I looked over the script today. Because I couldn't remember how much it costs to get a passport. But for those of us that can get the passports, I think we should. And if you get your kids' passports, it's cheaper if they get it now versus as they get an adult because children 16 and under, I can't remember, like $100. Otherwise, it's 165 for adults, and we're going to need it because they are going to move forward with
say
that.
that.
It is just
No.
something you have.
We just need to be prepared. I
Yes.
say that.
Yes,
We're hoping and praying that all this stuff goes away, but in the meantime, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah, I think that's
trying to scramble and get it at the last minute. So if we start preparing a little bit ahead of time, making sure we have the proper state ID, the real ID.
Problem with that. Yeah, the problem with that requirement, though, I would say, Mona and Jennifer, is it's like a modern day poll tax.
It is.
Not everybody can afford. The reason why everybody does not have a passport is because not everybody can afford a passport.
It is
or
expensive.
to
It
even
is
leave
very
the country.
expensive. But here's why the DNC, because they have all this money, they should make it where they should make it where they could get these passports, particularly moving forward when a baby is born. They should figure this stuff out now. When this baby is born, give them a passport.
Yeah, but that would defeat the purpose why it's even an issue anyway. The reason why
they have the power, they should do this stuff.
Yeah, I'm saying the reason why it is an issue, it's because Republicans don't want all those folks voting, right?
Absolutely.
So the issue, the issue is come up with a free, as you are suggesting, way of making sure that citizens have documentation. And the documentation doesn't have to be $120 passport. That's ridiculous.
It could be $30, whatever it costs to get your birth certificate when you're in the hospital. Do you get the birth certificate when you're in the hospital when you have the baby? But just like voting.
No, they make you pay for it. No, it's not free.
Oh, you have to pay for it? Okay.
You have to go write a certificate in order to pay. Yes.
I don't remember how that went, but
it's $14.
$14. Okay. Well, that's more reasonable than 100 and something, right? And so, they're doing the automatic draft. We should be able to do automatic registration.
No, they should. If they're going to these young men that are age 18 to 25, if they're going to automatically put them in the draft, then they should automatically give everybody citizenship. This is crock of bull. It makes no sense. Why are we going through this when you can? If you can do that with the push of a pen, what else can't you do?
They can do everything. They can automatically register them to vote when they turn.
Yes, absolutely.
They can automatically give them the passport, whatever it is they need. But this country was built on such hatefulness and racism.
Yes.
And it is raging its ugly head once again.
Absolutely. You are absolutely
right,
Mona. So Jennifer, real talk, tools. Someone who's going to finish this episode and want to start today, what do they do? What can they do right now?
Well, right now they can go on Family Search website. It's free. They can go in, they can create a password, they can sign up, and the website has tools to assist you, hopefully in getting started. Finding the information you need. That's the first thing. And associated with that, find a grave. That website is also free. You can go up there and you can search anywhere in the country. You can search any state, any county, as long as you have the individual's name, because that record is there where they're buried at, what cemetery. These are other methods to help you find the information you need to help you search in your search effort to find members of the family,
So the first one was Family Search. What was the second one?
Find a grave.
Find a grave.
So Jennifer, let's let's talk about the ancestry.com. Is it worth the money, and what can it do?
There's two sides to Ancestry. Ancestry, anybody can go in Ancestry and create a file, create a profile for a family. A lot of that information isn't vetted. It's just going by what somebody said. Well, this was mine and this was so and so and so. But if you want to get one vetted, then that requires you to have to sign up and pay to be a member of Ancestry.com. But you can go up there and put any free information up there you want.
Yeah, let me show you. I'm gonna pull this up. It's my page on Ancestry, and I'm gonna show you something that they do when you pay. And then there's additional money to get things verified if you don't want to do it yourself. So let me see if I can pull that in really quick, and then you can speak to that. Well, give me 1 second. This is me being the producer that just share screen, vertical tree, share.
How much does it cost?
This is 24 to 99 per month if I go monthly, 21 if I go for 6 months or what have you. But this is my page. You can see me here at the bottom in that little goofy cap and gown. You got my parents up above, and these little green things are just suggestions or hints that they have found something that I could go and research. And then here is my path to the Bahamas, right into Africa. Right up here, there's somebody, parent. That's Harriet. That's not Africa. This is in the Bahamas here. So through the Bahamas too, and then she has the parent. Harriet, still going up. There's like 7 parent. No parent there. Parent. No parent here. So Hannah and John Sanders on this side. And on this side, I have, this is my mother. And this is the side Jennifer is on. So Jennifer, Dorothy Mae Johnson, this is mom. Dorothy Mae Johnson right here is Jennifer's aunt. Jennifer's, what is it? Aunt? Great aunt.
Yeah, she's one of the 2 sisters.
Because her sister, and in fact, if I go in here, do I get that? Her Hubert, no. Eva Mae Johnson. Oh,
yeah, that's the other sister. Yeah.
Yep.
That's my grandmother.
And then Herbert C. Johnson Jr. And da-da-da-da. So this is, it really has a lot of great information, but as Jennifer said, there's a lot of verification that needs to happen. So up here on the right in the top, it has an 8.6 rating, tree rating, which says there are problems in terms of duplications and some that are not verified. So, and I get that when I pay. It's telling me that there is something wrong in the tree. You can pay more and have somebody go and work through the tree with you. But I just go to FamSearch or whatever else when I want to verify stuff. So
now, Jeanette, you said that the little green dots, I think it's on your parents, or the check is telling you there's some more.
Well, it's telling me, like right here, it's it has 11 siblings there. She doesn't really have 11 siblings, but I have to check that. But this is telling me that there are 4 hints that I can then go click on this, and it will take me to some hints. It'll say the name is Jean Patterson. She was born, and see, this is, and then residence, looks like a phone number. I'm not sure what that is, but this is the new hint. I could review that hint or I can ignore it. This one, U.S. Public Records Index, it's my mother again. And then it's giving me some more residences that she was and I could review that record or not. I usually like to look for certain types of records, but for the most part, I'm not overly interested in the where she's lived from time to time. But this one is a 1950 census. That's of interest to me. Birth about 1938. Well, she was born in 1937, close enough. And then here was her residence. Then I can go into the census, and it highlights exactly where she is. Can I make this bigger? Bigger. And right here, I can look to say, all right, this is Margaret Johnson.
It should be Martha.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To Jennifer's point earlier, when the census takers are listening, these are white census takers talking to Black folks, and they write whatever they want to write. So you will find where, and I always say this in my head, oh, the white person just didn't really listen. They didn't really care that she said Martha and not Johnson, Martha Ann, right?
Yeah.
So, and then, but this is my mother, which is her daughter. And at the time, my grandmother was 28 years old, born in Florida. And this says probably usually whether they can read or write or whatever else.
Right.
So, and then here's Eva May. Oh, I just love looking at our family. Look at that. Lena, there's Lena. That's
my mom.
Yeah, that's your mom. And Richard with the squirrel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cornelius, that used to freak me out that he had a squirrel on the porch. Just totally freaked me out. But anyway, so it's good information. You can I'm about to call you Lena. Jennifer said you can go use it for free, but you can't do very much. You can't really get into the detail, and the detail is critical. You need the census data, and you can't pull that up. You can just go and fill it in, and that's of no use really.
Okay, so all right. So I'm gonna, because you know how I am. So you said $25. How long have you had this and been paying $20 for? When do you ever finish?
You just stop. Like if I'm using, like right now, I'm using it for 1 month, right? I have it. I'm using it for 1 month, and then I will say, okay, don't charge me anymore. Just stop.
Okay.
Just like
because I was like
any other subscription.
Okay, so I was like, whoa. So it's not a continuous thing. You can pay as you go.
It is a continuing, but you can say, I just want it for 1 month, and it will tell you that it will charge you that every month. But all you need to do is go in before the month, like any other thing, and just shut it down because you got what you want.
Okay.
Right. So I'm going to use these couple of weeks to just make sure that I'm doing what I need to do in this particular thing.
So someone like Jennifer, and you've been doing this for 20 years, you haven't been paying for this for 20 years, have you?
No, I use the free website, which is Family Search.
Okay.
And it allows you to take that document she showed you and attach it to the file of the individual you're looking at free of charge. There is no cost in Family Search.
Yeah, and Family Search is amazingly good. It is a great document as well. I mean, it's a great.
That's about to say this will be a little expensive.
Yeah, it's a really good tool as well. So, oh man, I feel like I'm doing something great here. So
yeah, the Mormon Church provides it free of charge.
Okay.
And the Mormon Church is really where I learned a lot. So Ancestry Now is a feature that builds on narrated stories from your records. Family Search has an AI assistant that can actually read old handwriting. So I would say that Family Search, for folks who are wanting to start out now, just go ahead, put in familysearch.com, go to it, start your search. It's free. It is free. It is free. So, Mona, where are we?
The DNA testing. You've already talked about that.
Yeah, we've pretty much exhausted the DNA testing. Again, I found the DNA testing very helpful, but the most it has done for me is connect me to a lot of folks here in the country who have the DNA similarities as I do, and they've contacted me. And the one that I mentioned before, Ellis, that was a real good match. But I get a lot of them, is what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that they're not related. It's just I have a goal to get myself from where I am today into Africa, and I've been able to do that.
What is what do you know about 23andMe?
I don't. Do you know anything about it, Jennifer? 23andMe. I hear it's really good.
Yeah, that's just another program, another service that provides DNA testing. I haven't done any DNA testing on our end because it's hit and miss, as Jenny said earlier. And then you've got other people that are in the game. Now they do have one, but it's very costly, and it does do. It's basically for African Americans because it does a bit more detail than the others. But and then you have to have male chromosomes. Some of these tests you have to have the male, some male in your family have to do the test because of what they're looking for.
Yep. Yeah. All right.
So what do
So
y'all think about the AI tools? Because Jeanette, I hear you keep saying you put things in chat. Is this the newest thing? And is it good? Is it working for you, Jeanette?
yeah, you don't really have to put it in chat necessarily because all of the, including Family Search, they are being aided by AI. So AI is operating within a lot of these search tools now, which makes them better at getting your data more accurate. So AI is just the name of the game for just about everything we do today.
Sure.
And this has been, for me, a very positive outcome. So my last question to you, Jennifer, is you talked about joy early on, in terms of the joy that you get when you find a match that fits. Any pain?
Yeah, lots of pain. I've even cried sometimes because in those files, there's a lot of pain. There is what people, our ancestors. I feel like when I'm doing this, I'm getting to know these people. I'm getting to know who they were, what they were about, and a lot of them had very, very hard times, hard lives. A lot of bad things happened to them, and so I feel that as well. But then I also feel the joy that, look, at least I know them now. I didn't know them before.
Yeah.
They're a part of me. They're part of our family.
Yeah.
So and everybody has a story to tell, and some stories are beautiful, and some are not. But that just goes with the territory.
It really does. And if I connect this to roots, I want to connect us back to roots as we close out, because one of the stories that I saw was amazing. And that one is, what is your name? And so I want to share that with you
Hello,
guys.
Jeanette, because we'll let that be the last thing. I want to pause it for a minute. I want to ask Jennifer, we want people to leave this episode ready to go, right?
Yeah.
Not paralyzed by where to start. If someone's listening right now and has zero, no research, no document, nothing, what are the first 3 things they should do this week?
This week, if they have a mother or grandmother, someone in the family that knows the family history, that knows who their parents were, they've got to have a name to start the search. And for family search, it has to be somebody that has passed on, because all the information in family search is for deceased individuals. A lot of stuff in the other websites, they have both deceased and living, but family search is mainly going to pull up who has passed on. And then from there, they have the name, they need to know where their birth date. It would be helpful to know where they're from, where they were born, if they were born in any of the 50 states or counties or anything. And if they can pull that up and have a birth date, it's going to help them with the rest of the information, but they have to know who they're looking for. And then once all that stuff adds up, it's going to give them a list to choose from. Because as you know, a ton of us have the same name.
Sure.
But we don't always have the same birth date. We don't always have the same parents and stuff like that. So that's going to narrow their search down. And then when they find somebody, they can open up the file and they can look at the records and look at the census records. Because if there's somebody that's been around a long time, they're in the census file, and it's going to say who the relatives were, who your father was, all the kids that lived in the house during that time. It's going to list the location of the house. It's going to provide them with information. And if they don't know, then it gives them information to go ask somebody that may know to help them narrow this down. And once they get one solid record with everything, and this is who we're looking for, and that's the person, then from there, all you have to do is just start moving backwards.
Okay.
Because it's going to tell you who the parents were, if it was grandparents living in the household, everybody that's a part of that family is going to be listed.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Y'all, you heard it from Jennifer, start with a name. And so I want to close with one name that we all recognize.
James, your name is Toby. I want to hear you say it. Your name is Toby. You're going to learn to say your name. Let me hear you say it. What's your name?
Kunta Kinte.
I almost forgot that part where and they still got us doing their bad work. Jesus.
It's one of my favorite scenes. The whole Kunta Kinte, what's in a name. And so, as you said earlier, I really would want to have an African name and not the name that I've been given. But there was a lot of pain in the name that we've been given. And we saw that in that scene right there. His name is Kunta Kinte, but his name in this country was Toby. And that's the name that you're going to look up when you decide to go find people.
Our slave names.
Yes. If you look at it that way. Before you go, I want to share one last story with you. Okay. When I found Grandma Cora, I did not know that she was the product of the slave master and one of his many women. But she had a brother. Yeah, it was just her and a brother. She never knew who her mother was. They were born, they were put in, I guess you could say, a kindergarten or on-site orphanage. And the older women that were too old or broken down to work anymore, their job was to take care of them and raise them. And then her mother was more than likely sold off to another person. So she never knew who her mother was.
And there is the pain right there. That is painful.
And it's a lot of that.
Yes.
The separation been so, yeah.
Thank you so much, Jennifer.
But the
For
joy in it all is she survived and she lived to be 101 years old.
my gosh, I did not know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so
We can
wonderful.
always find joy in our ancestors, in our history, in our life, in spite of the pain.
Yes.
All right. So
Yes.
Cora was
That
she
was
was
Cora.
1852.
Well, they had her listed. Some records, you know, that 1 or 2 year off thingy there, it's all over the place. Some
Yeah,
say
it is.
1850, some say 18. It just depends on who did the record. But yeah, and she died in 1951. So give or take.
Okay. I got to talk to you a little bit more about her people because I stopped at Cora and Benjamin. So
Okay.
this has been so enlightening. Thank you so much for sharing our experience as a family with our audience. What's your thought, Mona?
It's almost, I'm telling you, anytime, it's like when I'm going to start calling her Auntie Jennifer now, because it almost, when I sit down and talk to my dad's sister, she's my auntie, and she's the elder in the family, with the amount of history that she tells us, right? And that's what I'm feeling right now. Just listening to her story, the pride and the joy when my aunt is telling us. And I think we could feel that throughout all of our experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Think about if more of us
Well, thank
knew.
you, Jennifer. We're gonna make sure that we set up something where we could all meet. I'm gonna try
Okay.
to start working on family search tonight.
Okay.
Just for the grandmother.
She's ready to
Yeah, because
go.
I'm
Ready to
excited.
go.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
excited. I'm ready to go.
Jennifer, my cuz, you called me Jenny twice on this show.
I'm so
Nobody
sorry. But
nobody
hey,
knows me as Jenny, but that's all right.
that's a family thing. Sorry. Yeah, that's you've been.
I don't even notice it until family says it in public. And then it's like they say it here at the house all the time, but it's like in public, it's like, huh, she just called me. Anyway, love you to death, fam. And
Yeah.
thanks again for coming on. We appreciate you. And
Okay.
yes, I will
And
be
thank
in
you all
touch
for
with
having me.
yeah, I will be in touch with you as to next steps. All right.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Oh my gosh, that was so good.
Jimmy, where you want to start?
Oh, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
You know I'm gonna make some off line jokes. Jenny,
I
are you
know.
kidding? Are you
I got
kidding me,
the,
Jenny?
I got the feeling one of your jokes is what you always say to me. It's like, oh, that is so white.
Oh my God. Jenny?
Oh God, I'd like to hide that, but my sisters say that quite a bit as well. But I don't hear it until I'm in mixed company of you're not family and yet you're hearing this name. But I don't hear it
And
otherwise.
I did notice that she did say it, and I just like, huh, Jenny? Okay. Jenny. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted her to know it's like you are busting my cover here. That's not who I am out here, out in the street and in them streets, as they say. Well, that was really enlightening.
That was very enlightening. And to know that the Mormons, it's the strangest thing, right?
Yeah.
I cannot stumble upon the Mormon over a huge killing, maybe during the pandemic. And then I just started doing all this research about the Mormons. And
Yeah. I'm sure you didn't find any really good stuff. The Mormons are kind of nuts.
And that's like the first thing that's why I know a little bit when Charlie Kirk got assassinated and they say Utah. And I said, that's interesting. That's the Mormon country. Sure, it's not going to be a Mormon. Who's going to? But they do a lot of strange things.
They do.
And
They really do.
yeah, these religions are very something.
Religion in our country, this country, has been I don't know, it hasn't been I don't know that it's been the best thing for this country, with the way that the various religions, the more we're finding out about their dysfunctionality rather than anything else. They're more dysfunctional than anything else. But
I'm gonna just say this before we go to our quick hitters. I stumbled upon this podcast called Cult, CULT, to Conscience. And a lot of Mormons was saying how cult like it was, and how they're leaving, and all of this, and the stuff, the darkness in that religion.
Yeah,
as I used to say, love shouldn't hurt.
Yeah,
love shouldn't hurt.
Yeah,
religion shouldn't hurt. The pain that these people go through in a lot of these religion is unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. It should not hurt, but I follow a young lady, and I can't think of her name right now, but she's an ex-Mormon, and her stories are absolutely amazing in terms of
it might be the same one. And she
Yeah.
interviewed all different religions.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I can't hardly watch them at night because I don't like to go to sleep with this heavy mind or heart, you know. I have to turn it off.
So I want to share a couple of videos, and we only have a short time left, but this folks is we're starting the quick hitter, and today we have one quick hitter. And if you are aware of what is going on in Iran with regard to the United States, at the behest of Israel, started a war with Iran, and by all accounts thus far, except the Trump administration, we are losing. But we're losing on all fronts. But one front in particular that is interesting is social media. When I tell you that folks have figured out how to get under Trump's skin, this is probably one of the best. So let me play this, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what we're seeing here. And if you haven't seen them, go look it up. Put in Legos Trump. And
I think they're all on our timelines.
Oops. Oh boy, that was the slogan you stole. But Bibi's pulling strings and your vote is getting cold. We're not just fighting for Iran, hear this clear. Your people reached out to us. Yeah, we got the DMs here. If one nation's gonna stand against the Epstein regime's fear, it's us to the last breath. We've been doing it for years. We're standing here for everyone. Your system ever wrong, they've known all along. The enemy was always you. The real threat wore a suit and sung a patriotic song while selling their own citizens and calling it strong. Stealing from your own people, making them bleed, taking tax dollars just to fund your own greed. Ain't waking up to the lies, the illusions of burst. You screamed America first, nah, you put losers first. Make Israel great again. Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you all. We saw everything. If the public ever saw the files, man, the planet would shake from the level of filth and the crimes in your wake. No wonder Jeff called you the worst, you degenerate snake. You claimed you never set foot. You went 40 plus times. You sick bastard. You cooked. We stepping up to the plate.
All right. So that's what I'm going to play from that one. Amazing. It's social media
we're the laughing stock around the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I just need everybody to take a moment and really absorb what you just saw. And that was just a part of the clip. And if you listen to the words, They are taking everything bad about what Trump is doing that we know that he's doing, and they're putting it to a video. This wasn't made by a Hollywood studio. That was not a Saturday Night Live kind of clip. That was made by a group of young Iranians using artificial intelligence or AI. And it has been seen by millions upon millions of people, including, I would guess, a lot of Americans who don't think of themselves as people who watch Iranian propaganda. But that, everybody is watching it.
Yeah, right. And I think that's the whole point, right? That you don't feel like you're watching propaganda. You feel like you're watching something that went viral because, I don't know, it's kind of funny. And it might be a little discomfort because when I saw it, I said, oh, maybe I shouldn't chuckle at that after you laugh, but that's actually the story.
That's funny because I felt the same way. It's like, should I be laughing with this? What should I? This is a problem. That's what I first thought.
So earlier this morning, I'll tell you a little something. I was trying to find something on Facebook, and I saw a little skit coming from London, like a Saturday night thing about the First Lady. And I was like, yeah, these people are very creative, and they're going very wild with this.
Oh, they are going wild with it. And you know what? If you really think about it, I love it. And it's a new battlefield. Yeah. Social media has become the new battlefield or the new weapon. They've weaponized social media in wartime. This is a war. So let's actually talk about who's behind this. The group calls itself Explosive Media. They started in about 2025 as a regular YouTube commentary channel of political opinions. It was very Iranian, and basically nobody watched it. Most of the videos had a couple hundred views, maybe, if that.
So what do you think might have did the switch? Do you think because I know they kind of switched in February to Legos, and suddenly millions of viewers. So the obvious question would be, why Lego?
Yeah, you got to wonder that. At first when I saw it too, I was like, Legos? I don't even like the way the people look. So they actually said it themselves, though. They use Lego because it is a world language. Everybody knows what Legos are. I remember my little brothers playing with Legos, and to this day, you got kids in school doing Lego competitions. Yeah, and that's not nothing. There's something about those little yellow figures that your brain just accepts. It's familiar. It's safe feeling. You lower your guard, and the moment you lower your guard around political messaging, the messaging is working much better. So they got this.
They definitely do. It's not just the aesthetics of the Legos, but the video have the. I felt myself, moving a little to the rap, and I was trying to say, "Oh, that sounded a little like so and so. Oh, that sounded a little, And the visual is consistent, so you can follow the story almost without the sound. So they work as a meme. But I'm loving it.
I'm loving it too. And I think one of the things, and you have to look at Black culture. So you've got these Iranian young people who are using a very Black music genre to convey or to combat Trump, the Trump administration, and Israel in their made-up war. And so Black culture, I'm telling you, Black culture is everywhere, and now it's being used to combat war. So here's another one. All right, let's just try another one. Here we go. And I'm only playing just little pieces of them, but they're just so interesting. Is it up? I can't see it.
It's up.
All right, let's go.
Rich Day. You scared of the pictures?
Power play. Rich Day. Open the straight or you'll be living in hell.
Censor the satellites. How what we did to your bases. You're losing your mind and then you're losing this war. Face it.
You tweet like a madman, threatening power plants and bridges. Praise be to Allah. You sound unhinged, you bitch. You want us living in hell, but you're the one scared of the sky. Begging every satellite company to hide what we did to your guys. 17 bases hit, C-130 and Black Hawk's gone. On a million wasted just to save one pawn. Now you're blocking the photos so the world doesn't see how bad little Iran
Up your military.
power plant. Appreciate. Open the straight or you'll be living in hell.
Censor the satellites. How what we did to your bases. You're losing your mind, then you're losing this war. Face it. Sacred defense. We still standing. You censoring the sky.
I just made a $27 ebook in 2 minutes using AI. Watch how I did it. So you.
Yeah.
I got it. They will say the opposition, the maybe not the Christian, the white nationally Christian right, because they're against the war as well, but those who are, we're not pulling for Iran, but we're definitely not supporting this damn war. It's unjust. It is something that we as any human, and particularly Christians, cannot go along with.
Yeah, but I think what really gets me is how culturally specific the content is. It is really addressing everything he says, everything he does, and it's addressing the mess that he's in with the Epstein files. It is touching on everything. So it's hard for Americans, let's say Christians, what have you, to root for him because they're pointing out everything that he is screwing up on. So this isn't America bad in broad strokes. These videos name Jeffrey Epstein. They reference Trump's Truth Social posts. They know what taco means. Trump always chickens out. That's an inside joke from American political Twitter, and they're using it. These people know the internet we're living in. They know, and they're playing it right back to us using Legos.
Yeah, and Jeanette, they're saying openly that America are helping them. People in the U.S. are sending them tips. They're sending them ideal cultural content. Which is, I don't know. I mean, think about that for a second. American citizens are voluntarily contributing to the content of pro-Iranian media operation. That is just unheard of. But I think we are now understanding how much Israel is playing in our politics, involving us, sending our soldiers over to die for what. So yeah, I like we need a good chuckle every now and then.
Yeah, we need a good chuckle, but they've weaponized Legos and they're fighting a battle with and they're winning. They're winning public opinion, not just in the United States, but around the world. So it tells you too that AI has genuinely closed the cultural gap in a way that nobody fully predicted. Who would have thought that AI would, because the immediacy and the accuracy of what these videos are portraying is amazing. Analysts have pointed out that Iran has been running programs for decades to understand the American culture, old school stuff. But
Mhm.
AI tools have now let them take that knowledge and produce content that actually resonates. Now that is what's new. Last video. All right, one more. I think we got a little time for us to try that up. You know, I'm moving my screen all over the place, and I'm hoping that I don't kick myself out. Here we go. Share. And
Nah. You tweet another threat, another fake attack, but we all know why your portfolio's flat. You need the market to drop, need the oil to crash, then you buy at the bottom, flip it for cash. You don't want a war, you want the price to fall. Fake news on Truth Social, that's your only call. You scream, open the straight, but why though? So your rich friends short and watch the money flow. Fake tweet, fake news, fake hope, fake clock. Your whole game's a joke, make it stop. You crash the world and you buy the dip. Fake war, fake tears from your fake lip. You ain't a president, you're a traitor in disguise. Fake fear in people's eyes, that's your prize. Iran's still here, the strait's still closed. Fake clown exposed, decompose. You give a few hours, fake threat. You ain't a leader, you're a loser with debt. You want the market to bleed so you can drink it, but your own people sing while you sit and think it. Should I
okay. Tell me that these are not brilliant.
They're brilliant. They're brilliant.
And you're talking about some small social media group in Iran that stumbled on a very, very brilliant concept. So I want people to really hear this, because this is why you do the work. It's I'm hoping that I didn't. Yep, I jumped. But it's like I'm in the wrong one. I'm in the wrong one. So they're so on point with what it is that, I mean, they're talking about right now how he plays the market. He's playing the market so that he and his buddies can make money. And we're not paying attention to that, but Trump, that is exactly what he is up to. So I don't know.
But I think a lot of people are beginning to pay attention to what has been happening in our political atmosphere, right? And it's not, I'm not going to say it's just Trump. He just so boldly did it, so openly. And I think where he made the mistake is when he decided he was going to bomb Iran. That's one of the multiple mistakes that he has made during his president. And you can see it in the uproar of the MAGAs. Everybody is turning against him.
Everybody.
You see Tucker Carlson. I have no love lost for any of these people. Megyn Kelly, Candace Owen, Nick, the other white guy, because they were all for this evilness. They were all for all of this one-sided and not equal America, not an equal society. They still wanted to, and so now everybody is feeling the pain, and they're feeling it much worse.
Right.
We're kind of sitting here and enjoying the videos.
Enjoying the videos, and it's not a question of whether it's good art or not. The question is really, does it work? And I would say that the big question, and I think the honest answer is, it's more effective than anyone in Washington really wants to admit. A media analyst from the American Sunlight Project put it bluntly: explosive media, the company, is beating the Trump administration at its own game. The immature humor, the owning opponents energy, the clicks at any cost mentality, that has been the Trump playbook for over a decade. And now it's being used against him by Iran, and they're beating him, Mona.
Well, one thing that jumps out at me from the research, a foreign policy analyst made the observation that these videos are almost entirely being discussed and shared inside of the United States and Europe. They're not,
Yes.
but they're not being spread now. Get this, through a right living, and they've been spread through us. And his point was that means that they're seceding. Their target audience wasn't Iranian, it was us.
And we are sharing it in droves. And now there are real questions about what effective even means here. Do these videos change anyone's actually policy opinions? Probably not their own, but researchers have a concept they're calling slopaganda. Oh, I love that. Slopaganda.
Propaganda.
It's AI generated content that works not by making you believe specific facts, but by creating associations. You don't think Trump is literally a Lego figure conspiring with a plastic Satan, but the image sticks, the feeling sticks.
Mhm.
The feeling drives a lot more political behavior than we want to admit.
Sure he does. And there's also the platform suppression piece, right? So
Mhm.
YouTube took down explosive media channels for violent content. Instagram too. And every time that happens, it becomes a story. It gets more coverage. More people go looking for the videos. So a ban in the age of the internet is basically a marketing campaign.
Yeah, so here's what it keeps coming back to. This is not really a story about Iran. It's a story about information, about the fact that we've built a global media environment that rewards the most engaging content, and Trump runs that to the hilt. And engagement doesn't care about truth or source or intent. A catchy rap with Lego Trump travels faster than a careful news report. That's just the physics of the internet right now.
Yeah, and that's the bigger picture, right? And the uncomfortable thing is some of what's in these videos, they ain't wrong. The Epstein stuff, the criticism of American foreign policy, the war casualty. Those are real things. The video package real grievances inside of propaganda, which make them much harder to dismiss than disinformation. You can't just
Exactly.
say they can't just say it's fake. And
Some of
some of it, some of it, some of it might, but most of it isn't.
That's right. So where does that leave us as people consuming this stuff, folks? I think the move is just awareness. You got to be aware you're not paying attention. Know what
Mhm.
you're watching, know who made it, know what it's designed to make you feel. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy the craft. Some of these videos are genuinely well made, but
Mhm.
enjoying something and being manipulated by it can happen at the same time. So we're finishing up. Mona, close this out.
Exactly. And that's the culture quick hitters for episode 70, Lego Bricks, officially a geopolitical weapon. Welcome to 2026.
Hey, you guys, thank you so much for sharing with us today. We had great guests and Jennifer. Jennifer, shout out to you. Thank you. Great
Yes.
show. And pay attention to what you're listening to. Um, Even Legos can have a message for you.
Mhm.
All right. That's it. That's all we have.
Good night. We'll see you on Wednesday. Please like and share the video.
You got it.